So, boy, did I need that song this past week. You know, as our family continues this journey, I turn everywhere I can to find truth, to find some sense, to make some sense out of life, this particular time in my life. And this song, when it popped up, was really very helpful for me. First of all, I love Faith, and Faith wrote a brand new song called, I can't remember the title of it, but she wrote a brand new song, which is how we're going to open Nora's celebration of life on Saturday. But she sent it to me as soon as she heard, and it's based on the Emma Curtis Hopkins quote, right where I am, God is. You know, you'll hear it on Saturday for those of you that will be coming. But when this came up and I'm listening to her, God is wherever I am, when I'm singing, when I'm dancing, when I'm working, when I'm crying, when I'm whatever, all of it, God is. Sometimes that's hard to remember. And when she says, as me. So this month is Rebirth Month. But, you know, rebirth, you could be rebirthing a relationship. It could be, rebirth is a new outlook on something. It can be a new outlook on a relationship. It could be a new outlook on your career. It could be a new outlook on your physical or your mental or your spiritual health. It can be a new outlook on pretty much anything. You can rebirth anything. You can do something again at any time. You can have had this major, amazing career, taken time off to raise a family, and then step back into it. Rebirthing is not just about the birth. It's about the consciousness. Consciousness rebirths every time we allow it to. Every time we allow life to rebirth us by using our conscious mind to allow the situation to take us deeper, to take us further. Now, it's not always easy to do, and you know, I don't always succeed at it. But for me, the rebirthing that's going on for me right now is my relationship with God, my relationship as God. It's very easy during times of tragedy to question God. It's very easy to blame God. It's very easy to turn God into something you don't even want to talk about, think about, or deal with. And yet, because I understand God the way I understand God, it's me, it's you, it's everything. So, and yet I have to question that, because for what I'm going through right now, I don't have the solace, I don't have that thing I can blame. I can't rage out against an unjust God that took my daughter from me way too soon. I don't have that luxury. Even though if you caught me at any time this week in my backyard, you might have heard me doing that to a God I don't even believe in. And then I stop and I go, who am I talking to? You know? So I am being reborn in my understanding of what God really is. What does God really mean today? And there's a line in this song that when it came up, it just got me. And it's this: where I play, God is playing boldly. And boy, God has been way too bold in my life in these last few weeks. The boldness of God is just audacious and really pisses me off at times. Really. You know, I have never, ever, ever known this type of feeling. You know, and it is bold. It is extraordinarily bold. Right before service, Heather and I were sitting talking, you know, and she said, Heather Powers is such an amazing gift on this planet, with her voice, with her knowing. And she just said to me, she said, what were the words? I wish I could remember them. She goes, you know, grief is just messy and beautiful and ugly and awful. And she named all these words for grief. And I went, yes, all of the above. But don't lose the beautiful in the middle of the ugly and the messy. So today's talk title is, Barbara, The Boldness of God. The boldness of God. You know, I used to believe that God was a person, you know, throwing things at me to overcome. I believed as a good Catholic boy that God was up in the sky, taking charge of my life, doing things to me because maybe of something I did. I never took the blame, but I always just assumed it was just God having fun, and doing what God did. So when I grew up in that realization of God, that relationship with God, God became so many different things, and yet not the thing it really was, which was me. And there's a comfort in that kind of God. You can blame that kind of God. You can be a victim with that kind of God. You can spend your whole life as a victim. In fact, I think teaching that kind of God sets us up as victims. Oh, Lord, I am not worthy to receive you, but please speak the word and my soul shall be healed. I think I just added please. I don't think they say please. But speak the word and my soul shall be healed. Well, honestly, while I said that as a Catholic, throwing myself on the ground, calling myself a piece of dirt, please heal me, I also knew that there was something else, something more, which is why I end up standing here in front of you. So that's what I used to believe God was. And I have a funny story, and I know I've told this before, but it works again in this situation. There was a time, Easter, on a Good Friday, when our report cards were handed out. I was in 7th grade, and I had flunked geography, history, and science simultaneously. 3 red Fs. So therefore, I didn't know where I was, where I came from, or how anything got here. Geography, history, science. I was just lost. I was totally lost. And of course, as I sat in church on Good Friday, doing the Stations of the Cross, watching Jesus go through all that torture, which is what you do on Good Friday, just to cheer yourself up. Watch all of that, and I'm sitting there going, you have no idea what pain is. Wait till I get home. I'll show you what pain is. When I hand my 3 Fs to my Father, you'll wish you were, I will wish I was in your shoes. So, but I blamed God. I remember spending that whole weekend, once I got home and hell broke loose, I remember just blaming God. You did this to me. How could you give me 3 Fs? How could you give me 3 Fs in one report card? And of course, it never occurred to me that possibly, maybe it was because I didn't study. Maybe it was because I didn't really pay attention, or maybe it was because I just was such a renegade. It was like, and don't take this as a good way to go, by the way. It's like, why are you teaching me this useless stuff that I will never need to know when I want to be a Broadway actor? Why can't the Catholic Church find a way to teach that? That's my only interest. Why would I need geography? Well, perhaps so I could drive around a country and know where I'm going. Why would I need science? How funny that I ended up in religious science. And why would I need history? Why do I need to know all these things? The other day, Will was saying something about LBJ. No, we were in Austin looking at his new school, and there's all these pictures about LBJ. And I turned to him and I was like, what's their affinity with Lyndon Baines Johnson? And Will was like, it's his alma mater, and you just drove in on Lyndon Johnson Boulevard. And I said, well, I never really pay attention to those things. So it's kind of followed me throughout my whole life. So I ask myself, when something like what has happened happens, it's like, I want to blame God. And I want to say, why? And the answer this week that came back to me was the same answer from when I was in 7th grade. Maybe because you didn't study. You want to blame me? You want to scream at me? Maybe the real problem is that you don't actually know me. You don't really know me. Because if you really knew me, you would not be blaming me. You would not be screaming at me. You would not be so lost in the wilderness of this ordeal. Now, I know that's asking a lot of myself, and I know that I get to be angry, so if any of you think you want to come to me later and say, you're okay with your anger, I'm okay with my anger, and I'm okay with my feelings, and I'm okay with processing this. I'm okay with this. I am not okay with not having her here. And you know what? I'll never be okay with that. Never. So I'm not going to pretend that I'm going to evolve into that. I won't. I will never be okay with not having Nora here. I just won't. So, what do I do with all of that? And the answer that came back to me was, well, maybe it's because you just didn't study. So, the Japanese Zen have a word called shoji, which means birth/death. Shoji. And it's this: there is no separation between life and death other than the thin line that connects the two. Birth and the joyous, wonderful, vital parts of life, and death, the thing that we fear and want to avoid at all costs, are faced equally, neither being deemed preferable. In the Japanese Zen. I've been studying this teaching for a very long time. I know what life is. I know what death is. I don't approach it from any other place than truth. Approaching my daughter's passing causes a lot of upheaval and a lot of emotion. But in this month of rebirth, it's reminding me that I have more work to do to really understand what God is. Because if God is, as I wrote here, there it is, you are not a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a drop, then Nora is closer to me now than she's ever been, for all of the ocean is back in the drop, and that's me right now. I carry her, I live her. Doesn't keep me from being angry or sad, but I understand that. But there's a huge chasm between what I understand and what I feel. And the rebirthing for me this month is to bring these together as best I can, and as long as it takes me to do it. It could take me the rest of my life. But that's the journey. So I get what life is. I get that no one's ever gone. I understand all of that. But do I embody it? And that's really my message today. Do I embody it? I'm looking for the theme for 2019. Our theme for this year was simplify. Simplify. And as I hit the end of this year, it hits me. The theme is simplify. Simplify everything you believe and know. Get to that deep core. Get to that raw place where you know. So, as I look at this idea of being bold, of this God is playing boldly, it is time for me to embody this teaching, not just teach it, not just know it. And I do embody it. I'm not going to get on my own case about that. I embody it. But when something comes along like this, you ask yourself, how much am I embodying it? To this degree, if the Japanese Zen know that life and death are the exact same thing, and there should not be a preference one over the other. Nora was here for 20 years. Some people are here for 100 years. Some people are here for a day. And I have always said that when a person's time to go comes, it's a joyous thing, no matter what. Not easy to live right now, but I know it. But do I embody it? Well, I'd like to think I do embody it a little, or I couldn't get up here. I'd still be at home, and as I am some days, just not being able to get out of bed. But I am here. And I do embody this truth, but I want to embody it more. I want our whole community. I want this whole community, everybody online here. We have hundreds of people that watch us every week. I want everyone to be able to embody this teaching so profoundly that should something come along like this, it does not level us to the ground and we are out. That's just not it. I was explaining to Heather that when my mother died, I was devastated. I was 19, just like my son is right now. And when she died, I was devastated. I didn't know how I could go on. I didn't know why I should go on. It was awful. But I was in college, and I went back to college, and then left college instantly to move to New York and never looked back. And my life kept growing and expanding, and I came to a good relationship with the passing of my mother as time went on. She was always a part of my life, but as time went on. So I was rebirthed into a brand new life in New York that was amazing. My son will be rebirthed back into Texas State University in acting. He's written a play, one act, right? That they're going to read this semester. He'll get cast in something. He will his life is going to go. And as I said to Heather, I said, I've sat around a little pity partying myself saying, I don't have that luxury anymore. And I'm as if I'm done. And it's like, no, I will move forward through and as this and start really accomplishing what I want to accomplish. And one of the most important things I want to accomplish is to make sure that every person that hears me speak of this science understands the embodiment of it is where it's at, not just the intellectual knowing about it. Because if we can move past the intellect into the heart, feel this, know this, live this, life will change profoundly. Will you still maybe cry at times when you lose something as precious as we have all lost? And I know that all of us have lost this amazing young woman. But I know that I have lost her in a way that feels so profound, there are moments I can't breathe. But that's okay. I can't wish that away. I don't want to wish that away. I don't want to wish away the very thing that makes me a divine human being. So I was driving up over Coldwater Canyon on Friday as Donna and Deirdre were driving fairly the same area, coming in from the airport, and I was crying. And as I was driving over Coldwater, as I was crying, as I came to Mulholland, I came up to the top of the mountain, and oh my God, the sky, I don't know if you saw Friday's sunset, was red and yellow and purple. And there was just, I was like, oh my God. Talk about God playing boldly. I felt like God put that right there for me, got me to the top of Mulholland in rush hour traffic, I might add, just in time to be stopped on Mulholland to see this, and I instantly thought of Nora. I was like, that's Nora from now on. That's how she is now. She's the entire ocean in the drop, and this drop gets to see that and recognize the ocean. And it was spectacular. It was bold. It was awesome. And I stopped crying. I literally stopped crying. Annabeth Rickley, who worked with our teens, and she now pretty much with Connie runs the teen program for us, she sent me an email. She has a roommate that has moved in with her, and she sent me this email and saying, I got in the shower, and there was a thing of Axe. How many of you know what Axe is? It's like some kind of soap or something. You probably use it, don't you? No. It's kind of a boy thing, she said. But it's this, she says, I hate everything about Axe. I hate the smell of it. I can't believe it's in my shower. How did I attract this to myself? She said, and then I decided to pick it up and read it. She goes, you know what? How can I hate something I don't know what it is other than the smell? And so she read it. And then she sent me this email. She goes, and she said, I read this, and I just had to laugh. It says, the boldness scent of Phoenix Axe embodies the maverick spirit. Be reborn every day with its aroma. All that's left to do is rise to the occasion. And she sent me this email, and she said, I read this, and all I thought of was Nora. She said, now I have a whole different relationship to Axe. And I wrote her right back and said, I am so using that tomorrow in my talk. Because I get it. It's like we decide things before we know about them, before we know what they are. And I think it's time for us to, yeah, we can feel what we feel and all, but ask the questions. What is this? Because I'm back to the most important question I have ever asked, and I've been asking it my whole life. What is God? What is God? I know that God is right here where I stand. I know that. I know that God is me. I know that God is you. I know that God is this infinite universe of divine energy. I know that. But when one of those divine energies gets cut off so early, my word early, not the divine universe's word, but my word, my selfish word as a parent, but not the truth. When I see that happen, I question. But you know what? I think I question from here because I think I know from here. And my job, I think, is to get my heart up into my mind. You know, we always talk about drop into your heart. I think my heart's fine. It's very smart, knows what it's doing, and I allow it to do what it's doing. I need to pop that up here and just let the heart take over. Because I'm smart, you're smart, we know. We know what we know. It's time to stop knowing what we know and living what we know, embodying what we know. So all that's left to do is rise to the occasion. So I'm going to leave you with a question today. How are you going to rise to this occasion? Whatever that occasion is for you, how are you going to rise to any occasion that is calling you to be reborn? There is that in you that is going to consistently call you to be reborn in every moment, for whatever reason, reborn again. And not born again, reborn again into that which you are passionate about, that which moves you, that which motivates you, that which excites you. You get to have an exciting life. You get to have a fulfilling life. You get to have a passionate life. You get to have a loving life. You get to have the most emotionally fulfilled life you could ever imagine. But you've got to rise to the occasion. Right now, my emotions are all over the place. All over the place. And I have counseled people whose emotions have been all over the place and have been able to stand there steadfast as a rock, knowing the truth despite what I'm looking at. I am able to do that for myself. I have been able to do that for myself. There are a few people that I reach out to help me with that. Please reach out. But I have to just tell you, being reborn into this understanding of what is God makes me be reborn into the understanding of who am I? Who am I? Because if I am God, I better know me better. I better really know why I do what I do, why I say what I say, why I knee-jerk react this way. It's important. Socrates said, know thyself. Or was it Aristotle? One of those two Greeks said, know thyself. They say knowledge is power. Self-knowledge is self-power. So there's my question to you. What is asking you to be reborn, and how will you rise to that occasion? I will close by telling you, you have everything you need to rise in the most profoundly brilliant way possible. It's yours to do, it's mine to do, and we will do it together. Namaste.